The Education Channel presents District Digest, an inside look at the Collier County Public School District. First, the latest news.
Thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening.
Students at elementary schools throughout the district recently got very excited about school uniforms.
Take a look at this video to see how volunteers from Angels Undercover not only delivered uniforms, but brought smiles to a whole lot of faces.
What started several years ago as a small group of friends providing underwear and socks to students at 3 schools has grown to so much more. Angels Undercover is now delivering 14,000 uniform shirts and shorts to 17 schools, impacting even more students.
Great job!
On delivery day, students take an active role in unloading the boxes of clothes, and for Angels Undercover, seeing the smiling faces of all the students,
that's actually the thrilling part of it. You know, it's kind of like the culmination of our entire year's work. We've spent the year working hard and raising funds to do this and make it happen, and then we see the kids' faces, we see who the recipients are, and it just makes it all worthwhile to us.
And the students weren't the only ones smiling. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Kamala Patton, was on hand to share in the Angels' special delivery.
We're just so thrilled for partnerships. We talk about people helping kids in Collier, but this is a perfect example of how they help our kids. This is a basic need, having clothes. And believe me, every youngster knows whether or not they have the right outfit or not. And when they don't, they're already mentally one little step behind. So when you have a group like this, Angels Undercover, that provides that basic need, it gets to the learning even better for our kids. So we can't say thank you enough to the many community members that participate in their functions that allow them to be able to raise the money and purchase these.
Thanks to Angels Undercover, these new school uniforms will give our deserving students a new look for a successful school year. For the Education Channel with videographer David Delane, I'm Leanne Zinzer.
Thank you! Now coming up on this edition of District Digest, a segment focusing on college prep and what students and their parents need to do.
Then we'll learn about an upcoming free conference for parents of students with disabilities.
We'll talk with a real-life explorer in between his visits to some of our classrooms.
And finally, we'll find out about the kickoff event to the annual United Way community campaign.
That's all straight ahead on this edition of District Digest. Plus,
this is Tracy Kohler. Join me for a special feature here on District Digest coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll tell you what's cool in school.
Please stay with us here on the Education Channel, your window to education.
On the air on Comcast Cable 99 and online at collierschools.com.
It's story time. When you hear these words, it's time to have a favorite story read to you right here on TV. Storytime is a daily read-aloud show for pre-kindergarten through 5th grade students. The most important 20 minutes of the day is the time parents spend reading to their children. When you can't read, Storytime will, for you. Boys and girls, mom and dad too, join us for Storytime, the read-aloud show found only on the Education Channel, Cable 99.
Attention Collier County Public School parents. Have you ever wondered if your child's school bus is running late on any given afternoon? Well, we've got good news. You can now find out if your child's bus is late on the trip home by going online. Check the homepage of the school district website at collierschools.com. When a school bus is delayed by more than a half hour, a late bus notice link appears on the right side of the homepage. Click on it to find out.
District Digest continues with a special feature. Here's Maribel Daramus.
Today we start our show talking about college readiness with Chris Smith, and he's the coordinator of high school counseling for the district. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So before we get into some of the details, you guys have an event coming up on September 22nd, all about college. Tell us a little bit about it.
That is correct. We do our annual college night. It will be on the 22nd of September, which is a Monday night, Golden Gate High School from 5:30 to 7:30. We will probably have pretty close, if not in excess of 100 colleges and universities represented from not only all over Florida, but all over from the South and as far as up in Massachusetts and New York and all over the place, yeah.
So who can attend the college night?
Any of our high school students, parents included.
Okay, and what happens?
They have an opportunity to walk through the venue. It's held at the gym at Golden Gate, and they'll have an opportunity to speak to college representatives from colleges and universities all over the country.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So mostly of the students that will go will probably be juniors, seniors, likely. At least that's how it was when I was in school. As a senior, start of the school year, what should seniors be starting to do or have already started to do to prepare for college?
Already started to do. I'm
Hopefully.
hoping. Well, hopefully they've attended one of the college nights, so they have an idea of what colleges and universities they're looking for. You know, naturally, many students stay in Florida because if they become a Bright Futures recipient,
Sure.
You know, there's going to be some scholarship money for tuition and fees. All right. First of all, I would say you have to have a conversation at home. All right. Mom and dad need to understand what your plans are. Heading out to California at out-of-state tuition can be rather daunting. So having that conversation at home is really a good start. I would suggest that they meet with the school counselor. There are experts in our buildings. They understand the process. So that's going to be a good resource. If the college and university that you plan on attending is going to require letters of recommendation, well, you need to start securing those letters of recommendation. That could come from a teacher, could come from the school counselor, could come from a variety of people that would write such a recommendation. I would also suggest that once those letters of recommendation are written, that somebody review them.
Sure.
You know, have a relationship with that English teacher, either the current one or the past one, so that they can get an idea of whether or not there needs to be changes to the grammatical structure of your essay.
Sure.
Speaking of essays, many colleges and universities require an essay, so that's another thing you're going to need to start working on. Schools are going to be important, okay? Where you want to attend is going to be based on what you plan on studying. You're surely not going to go to a school, want to be an architect, and they don't have an architecture program. Okay, that makes, but you know,
that's where college nights come in.
That's where college night comes in, and you
conversations.
can start having those conversations, absolutely. It's important that you submit applications on time, all right? Then many times, once you've submitted that application, you're now in line for scholarships that that college or university might have available to them.
And actually scholarships, that's probably a good segue here, because obviously college and scholarships go hand in hand, financial aid. For those that are staying in Florida or maybe really going anywhere, what's a good step? What do they need to start doing to secure those financial aid sources?
They have to do the research, first of all. Colleges and universities have scholarship money. There are some monies available for incoming freshmen. That would vary by school. They're going to look at different types of requirements, might be financial need.
Sure.
The district has a scholarship website that's both under the student and the parent. There's a link to scholarships. We update that on a daily basis, so that's a good place to start. Starting at the university is a good place to start.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Well, it's certainly a big process. Maybe senior year might be a little, not late, but we want them to get started a little earlier, obviously, junior, sophomores.
I would like to see them starting as freshmen.
Sure.
Okay, visiting schools, vacation time, you know, get an idea of where you would like to go, what you would like to study, and how we put that all together as a package.
Get a plan in place.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the information that
Absolutely.
you've provided here today.
Thanks.
District Digest presents a District Office Update with Leanne Zinzer.
Well, our next guest on District Digest is Karen Stelmacke, the Executive Director of Exceptional Education and Student Support Services here in the district. Karen, good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
We want to talk about the third annual Sharing the Commitment Conference that's coming up October 25th.
Yes, the event is going to take place at Gulf Coast High School on October 25th, and it's going to be open to parents of students with disabilities in both Collier and Lee County schools.
And what time is the conference?
The conference starts at 8 a.m. sharp and ends at 1:30 p.m.
And who are we inviting? Who's the intended audience?
The intended audience is the parents of students with disabilities, not the students themselves. And we have several events that will be taking place that day. We'll have an opening with a guest speaker that will be talking about transition of students to their career in college, and how to help parents to prepare their students. Then we'll also have breakout sessions.
Okay, so breakout sessions. Do you need parents to register for this event?
Yes, it's very important for the parents who are interested to go online at collierschools.com/ESE. The registration is very important so that we can be properly planned and prepare so that we have enough space for all of our sessions.
And what about a phone number if parents have trouble with the registration process?
Great. They should dial 337-8363. That number belongs to the Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resources System, otherwise known as Fiddlers, and they are collaborating with us to put this conference on.
You mentioned breakout sessions. What are the types of things that are going to be available for parents?
The parents will have the opportunity to select different sessions from different tracks. They'll have transition track. They'll also have an IEP 504 track, a track just for preschool disabilities, and then also for behavior and transition. So parents can choose sessions from any one of the tracks, but they'll have the opportunity to go to those sessions all through the morning after the opening speech, which is from 8 to 9.
So when parents are registering, what if they have a need, like a translation need or something like that?
Well, our school district will provide the opportunity to parents who do their online registration so we can plan for them carefully. And we will have Spanish sessions, but we'll also have interpreters there, translators there for Spanish and for Creole. In addition to that, if a parent is deaf or hard of hearing, we will arrange for interpreters for that.
And I understand that there's free transportation provided for those that may have a need as well.
Absolutely. We're very excited. Our school district in Collier will provide transportation to parents who pre-register, but it will provide the transportation at Golden Gate Elementary in Naples and then at Immokalee High School in Immokalee.
And then when they're registering, they'll have all the details as far as timing and all of that.
Absolutely. In Lee County, they'll be able to register for bus transportation as well. That will be provided by Lee County Schools, and they'll do that transportation from the Lee County Education Center.
Now, Karen, this is the third annual, so you've had a couple years. What's been the feedback, and how are parents taking this type of an event?
Parents love to have the opportunity to network with other parents of students with disabilities, and they walk away with a wealth of knowledge and they make connections. I think one of the most valuable things is that they see there's a partnership between school and home.
And that's something that's so important to have that collaboration, that connection.
Absolutely.
Well, Karen, good luck, and I'm sure it's going to be a huge success once again.
Thank you.
District Digest continues as we open your window to education, taking you inside the classroom so you can see what's cool in school. With BYOD, STEM, and today's cool school technology, here's Dr. Tracy Kohler.
How often do we hear that failure is an option? Students at Poinciana Elementary School hear it a lot. When students work in the school's STEM lab, students watch, model, design, test, and revise their STEM-based projects through the tenets of engineering. Poinciana's STEM resource teacher, Ted Borduas, records his STEM lessons ahead of time, posts his video link and supporting documents on Edmodo, and allows students to access his presentation on demand, whether students are at home or in the classroom. Mr. Borduas also takes full advantage of social media professionally to research and prepare for his lessons.
On social media, I'll use Edmodo with the students directly so that they have access to me on Edmodo. But I'm also a big Twitterer. I use Twitter to get my information out there on social media, and I use that as a source for information for me as a teacher. I get a lot of my information from Twitter and from Facebook, from YouTube. I'm a big user of social media, a great way to share and find new information for use in the classroom.
Let's peek in on the students as they are utilizing technology for collaborative learning and finalizing their paper rockets.
He'll show us a video on how to do it, and then he'll give us an iPad, and the people who knew their Edmodo account would log on to Edmodo, and they could review the video again to walk through it to build the rocket, and he would keep the video up there but without sound. And he would and then we would start building it, and we could go back and pause it when we wanted to so that it wasn't too confusing.
And mistakes were made.
Well, we did fail on the tape, and sometimes we failed on the paper, like how we placed it. So we had to take the tape back off, and then we had to replace it.
Finally, students brought their redesigned paper rockets outside for an awesome demonstration. Learning through failure was definitely an option. Now you know what's cool in school.
You're watching District Digest on the Education Channel. Once again, here's Maribel De Armas.
For our next guest, we're here at Chatillon Elementary School with National Geographic Emerging Explorer Dr. Luke Dollar. Thanks for taking some time with us today.
You're welcome.
So before we get into your visit here today, tell us, what does it exactly mean to be an emerging explorer?
To be an emerging explorer, it's the same thing as being an explorer, but when you're named an emerging explorer at first, it means that National Geographic has identified what you do as something that interests them and that fulfills also the mission that National Geographic has, whether it's about exploration or research or inspiring people to care about the planet. National Geographic sees that your mission and their mission are actually one and the same, and it's a commitment that they make to share in those same passions in the pursuit of whatever the goals of the explorer would be.
So we'll get into your passions and your mission here in a second. How did you become an explorer, a scientist?
Well, how I became a scientist was I was always an explorer of sorts. I was always running around the woods of rural Alabama as a kid, barefoot with my pockets full of living things that I'd picked up from time to time, much to the chagrin of my mom and my grandmom, when I would come back to the farmhouse and find little snakes or toads or millipedes.
Sure, she loved that.
Oh yeah, she was just thrilled with it. But it just kept going and kept going, and so the world around me was something I always found fascinating, and I found myself always asking more questions and staying curious, and so those pursuits stuck with me through adulthood, and so I became a scientist.
So those curiosities do obviously start young. You were here today, your second time in Collier County, visiting with our fourth graders. What did you share with them today?
It was a thrill to be back here in Collier County for the second time, 2 years in a row. We had two different classes that came to two different sessions we had over at the Naples Zoo, and we got to show them the FUSA that they have over at the Naples Zoo, and we got to talk to them about science methods, what it means to be a scientist, and also bring to life some of the things they're learning in their classrooms to inspire them and hopefully engender with them this continuing commitment to curiosity, to academics, to science, to becoming maybe not a rock star or a pop star, but a scientist, and that's cool too.
Sure. So your passion, FUSAs.
Yes.
Started off with lemurs, actually,
yes.
I believe. Tell us a little bit about why that's your passion. What's going on with that?
So the way I actually came to learn about the animal that I've been studying for almost 20 years now was completely serendipitous. I went to Madagascar 20 years ago to study lemurs, these famous little primates that hop around the trees in Madagascar that you see the movie for and you fall in love with, and the one I was studying got eaten. It got eaten by this carnivore, by this predator I'd never even heard of, and that was a FUSA. And I said, well, as soon as that ate my homework, I guess I better study that instead, and the rest is history. It's been 18 years now I've been working on FUSA.
Some of our fourth graders maybe are interested in science, or some of our other STEM, technology, engineering, math. How do you recommend that they explore that?
Well, the interesting thing about science, being a scientist can take any form. You can be a lab technician, you can be a biologist, you can be a psychologist, you can be a sociologist, you can be a chemist, you can be a physicist. The cool thing about science is it's all built around a method, the scientific method, the way you go about testing assumptions or guesses that you make based on observations. Kids in Collier County schools in fourth grade, and those are the guys I'm visiting this week, are learning about the basic methods around science. And what it gives them is this credible, relatively infallible way of finding the answers to the questions that they have. And what I want them to come away with is that not only is it okay to be continuously asking questions and seeking answers, it's a good thing.
Great. That's a wonderful message. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and your time with our students.
My pleasure.
District Digest presents a community update. Here's Joe Landon.
Well, our final guest on District Digest is Kathy Conley, the board chair of the United Way of Collier County. Kathy, good to have you with us on the program.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Now, we have coming up the United Way Walk for the Way kickoff event, so tell us about the event.
Well, this is our 9th annual Walk for the Way. It's going to be held on September 27th. It starts at 9 o'clock. Registration is at 8. And the neat thing about this one is that it's going to be at the North Collier Regional Park again. And there was going to be all sorts of entertainment. We're very excited because the Miami Dolphin cheerleaders will be there.
Very nice.
In addition to that, there'll be music and free food, but we'll also have our Barron Collier drumline, who will be kicking off prior to the event. The Gulf Coast High School cheerleaders are going to be cheering on the walkers. And this year, as we were able to do last year as well, we're very pleased to say that anyone who participates will be getting a free Sun and Fun Lagoon pass to be used for that day. And it's open to the entire community. So
that's awesome. And there's an agency fair as well, correct?
Yes, there is. And you know, the United Way supports 34 agencies here in Collier County, and over 100,000 Collier County residents benefit from those agencies. That's 1 in 3 of us will benefit from the agencies. And all of our agencies will be there to share what they do. It's a great way for us to learn more about the agencies. It's a fun way to do it, but more importantly, it helps us to see where our dollars go to work.
Sure. Now, Kathy, what is unique about this event as opposed to others?
Well, as I mentioned, we support 34 agencies, so it's really one event where you can support the entire community here in Collier County. The other thing that we're doing this year is we're adding a 5K run. So before the walk, we will be having a run for the way, which will start at 7:30, and we've partnered with Gulf Coast Runners to be able to kick that off.
And why is it so important for everyone to get involved, for teachers and students to be involved in the United Way?
Well, do you know, the United Way, I think, is a very strong partner with the school district. And what our agencies really try to do is to help our students to be able to come to school ready to learn. They support being able to feed them by providing meals, by providing after-school care so kids have a safe place to go where they can study, medical needs, housing needs. So it takes the stress off the student so when they come to school they're ready and able to learn. And I'd really like to thank Dr. Patton for her support and her leadership, along with Lisa Morris, who serves on the United Way board.
It's that partnership and that collaboration that really makes everything happen.
Absolutely, and that's really what the United Way is all about. It's how do we collaborate with the agencies and other areas in our community to serve the entire Collier County community.
And Kathy, for a minute, tell us about how you got involved with the United Way and your role on the board.
Well, I think like most people, you want to give back to your community. But I had a really unique situation, at least for me and my family, very early in my career. I actually benefited from a United Way agency. So it started by me wanting to give back to something that I received. But I would tell you it's grown into how can I help an entire community through one organization. And that's really what the United Way can do. Whether it be your time or your talent or your treasure, you can certainly support the United Way. You can do all three. But in a great way to start doing that is by coming out on September 27th, joining us for the Walk for the Way and seeing it for yourself, and more importantly, joining the entire community and having some fun.
And it's wonderful to have been out there several times, and it's such a great to see the community all come together for one cause. It really is that you feel like you're part of a big family.
Absolutely. Last year we had over 3,000 community members there, and you have to experience it to see it and to believe it, but I would certainly encourage everyone to come out.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. Kick off another great campaign this year, and I'm sure we'll hear great things from the United Way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
And we'd like to thank all of our guests on District Digest, and we'd like to thank you for watching. For Mayor Beldiamas and everyone here on the Education Channel, I'm Leanne Zinzer. We'll see you next time.
Join us again for District Digest, your inside look at the Collier County Public School District. The show is produced by the District Communications and Community Engagement Department and the Education Channel, your window to education.